sound waves in tubes, so I can have different boundary conditions. You can have tubes which are open at both ends, and if it's open at both ends, the pressure wave has a node at both ends. Or I can have sound waves which are in tubes closed at both ends, like this auditorium. Works like a tube which is closed at both sides, and there's reflections from both sides, and it's got certain resonant frequencies of the room. Or I can have open-closed tubes. I can have a tube which is like closed at one end and open at the other, and then I have a node here, and then I have at the other end, the closed end, I have an antinode. And so the boundary conditions give you different possible harmonics. And you have relationships which tell what the different harmonics are. The only trick is to figure out what kind of boundary conditions do you have? What kind of tube is it? So for instance, let's look at this one. We have these big plumbing pipes that we use in the Little Shop of Physics to make music. And we just took like sections of PVC pipe and painted them special colors, and that's it. That's it. And we can play music on these. So with this lowest one, we want to calculate what is the length of the lowest tube right here, okay? But this one right here, the thing we need to know is, what are the boundary conditions? Looks like it's open at both ends to me. So this is an open tube. And when I play it, I'm going to play it with a pop gun, which I insert in the end of the tube. I don't close it. Wednesday in class, you're all going to play shorter tubes. And the shorter tubes, you pound on with your hand. And if your hand's on one end, that makes that end closed. But these stay open. So this one's open. The one we do in class is open, closed. And actually that makes a difference in terms of how you calculate the length of the tubes. Well, this one's open at both ends. And so we can work out what the length of the tube is by this. We say, oh, it's an open tube. And the frequencies are this. Fm is equal to m times v divided by 2L. And then we say, oh, how do I know which harmonic I want to use? The pitch, if I say it's 64 hertz, that means it's the fundamental. That means it's F1. F1 is 64 hertz. And so that's equal to 1 times V over 2L. The higher harmonics don't determine the pitch. The higher harmonics determine the tone quality. So you can tell this is music which is being played on PVC pipe as opposed to being played on tin pipes in an organ. Okay, so those higher harmonics tell you that, but the pitch is fixed by this. Oh, so all I need to know in this equation is the velocity. What do we use for the velocity? The speed of sound in air, and that's like 340 meters per second. It's 343 meters per second at 20 degrees Celsius. It's not 20 degrees Celsius where I'm standing, so we're going a little bit lower than that, our typical average value here. And I can calculate the length, and if I do that, I get a length of 2.7 meters. In fact, that's how we calculated how long to make the tube. Now, if I make a shorter tube, what's that going to do to the pitch? Higher pitch. Oh, and I've got a whole series of tubes with different colors, going from like long, and then successively shorter as I go down the way. And so I can get different pitches out of here. And in fact, to be able to play music, you have to have the ability to have different pitches. And that's how we get it here. The different lengths tubes, we just cut them to different lengths. And what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to play them with this pop gun. Now, when I do the pop gun, it makes this percussive sound. And actually, it's a mix of different frequencies. It's a mix of different frequencies. But when I do the pop gun inside the tube, what happens is this. There's a whole bunch of different frequencies inside the tube. The only ones that will persist are the ones that correspond to resonance frequencies of the tube, i.e. the standing wave modes. Listen. Or. And so you can actually play music. Right. And you're using the resonance frequencies of the tube to do that, and the pop gun's just all about exciting it. You can do it with whoopee cushions too, which is more fun at parties.